Right now, look at how UW's Carbone Cancer Center is performing life-saving research right here in Madison. Also hear from a top Trump administration official and why they're pushing ahead with sweeping tariffs on U.S. trade partners. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. Today marks the second year of the UW Health Carbone Cancer Center's open house. Our Meryl Hubbard shows us the brains behind the operation.
Try to wrap your head around this, or should I say brain around this, because this is a real human brain and just one of the areas of the body you can learn about at the UW Health Carbone Cancer Center open house.
We want the community to feel as engaged in the research as the researchers themselves.
At the Health Sciences Learning Center, the community gets an up-close look at the life-saving research happening through UW.
Oh wow, this is really it weighs about 3 pounds.
To see the brains behind it all, the floor was open with more than 20 interactive displays, lab tours, and panels with experts.
So it's a nice, non-intimidating way that people who are really interested in, curious in their breast cancer or learning more can do so in a peer environment.
Dr. Melinda West is an assistant professor of medicine at UW specializing in breast cancer. She spoke on the Breast Cancer Research Advocacy Network, or BCRAN, panel about patient advocacy.
It could be the best science in the world, but it will never be successful. And without having that very important input from a patient.
Like BCRAN, the open house is about bringing color and conversation for those affected by a life-changing diagnosis.
Cancer is a very scary diagnosis, and people can feel quite alone when either themselves or a family member is affected. But this shows that there's a whole team of experts available that not only can help them through their journey, but really are leading national experts in these different cancers.
Christian Capitini is the acting director of the Carbone Cancer Center. He says that the center relies heavily on funding from the federal government. With the potential for funding cuts, he says,
at this time, we're not fully aware of what these cuts are going to look like, but as you can see from this venue, the public is very interested and fascinated from what we're doing.
He says the center hasn't had immediate cuts in funding so far and that they will know more by October's new federal budget calendar.
We're going to do our best to keep putting one foot forward and keep working hard.
Reporting in Madison, Meryl Hubbard, News 3 Now.
Meryl, thank you. Let's get a look at your first one forecast. Alex, it sounds like we may have some snow on the way.
Yeah, April Fools was a couple days ago. This isn't an April Fools. We'll be going into the 7th of April tomorrow, and we do have snow. And it's already coming into the northern part of the state up towards Rylander. It's a ways away, but that's a cold front that's going to sink to the south very, very quickly. Take note of Future Track trying to bring in the first band of a few snow showers, 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Jacob will be here tracking those initial snow showers in the morning, but there's more snow showers in the forecast on Monday. I'll show that to you coming up in Maine weather. If you do happen to get in one of those isolated snow showers, either in the morning or some of those that develop again in the afternoon, visibilities could briefly be reduced. And because it's April, you're probably not thinking of snow. Just take it a little bit easy and slow down in some of those snow showers. After those snow showers, a rain-snow mix will track together here in a few minutes for Wednesday going into Thursday, and I'll let you know just how mild those thermometer readings are going to get by the time we get to the weekend. That's coming up.
All right, sounds good, Alex. We'll see you in just a bit. Tonight, the White House is racing to defend President Trump's sweeping global tariffs. At the same time, top aides are downplaying the prospect that Trump's new taxes on imports could raise consumer prices or tip the country into recession. U.S. stock markets have been rooted. Since the president's inauguration, $9.6 trillion in value has been wiped out. Weisha Zhang is in West Palm Beach, Florida, where the president spent the weekend.
From Hartford to Denver and Columbus, Ohio. Across the country, protesters filled the streets to push back on President Trump's policies, including the tariffs that have sent global markets into a tailspin.
Tariffs are just going to raise prices for everybody. That's all tariffs will do.
Trump spent the weekend on the golf course near West Palm Beach and shared this video of himself on social media. He also read tough headlines while top aides were out in force defending the tariffs. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick on Face the Nation.
There's no postponing. They are definitely going to stay in place for days and weeks. That is sort of obvious. The president needs to reset global trade.
A 10% universal tariff is already in effect, and on Wednesday, the U.S. will impose reciprocal tariffs on most of its biggest trading partners, including China and the EU. Trump's message to Americans, this is an economic revolution, and we will win. Hang tough. But at the Lotus International Food Market in Lake Worth, Florida.
How much of the stuff on your shelves is imported? 99%.
Shop owner Marwa Ahmed says wholesalers are already charging more as they brace for higher prices.
When tariffs kick in, who ends up paying for it?
Unfortunately, that is the sad reality, is that we do have to impose this on the customers. Or I have to make money in order to pay my rent and pay my employees, pay my bills.
The latest numbers from the Labor Department shows the U.S. added a robust 228,000 jobs in March, far exceeding expectations. Unemployment ticked up slightly, 4.2%. The biggest gains were in healthcare, and transportation and warehousing saw a boost, possibly in preparation for those tariffs. Federal employment declined amid the president's ongoing DOGE cuts, though analysts say we likely won't see the full impact of those layoffs for a couple of months. A second child has died of measles in Texas amid the ongoing outbreak. Hospital officials in Lubbock say the child was unvaccinated and had no known underlying health conditions. A Trump administration official told the New York Times the child's cause of death is, quote, still being looked at. This marks the second confirmed death linked to the outbreak. The first confirmed death was another unvaccinated child in Texas, while a death in New Mexico remains under investigation. At least 569 cases of measles have been reported in at least 3 states. The vast majority of those cases are in Texas, and nearly all were unvaccinated people. However, experts say the numbers are likely to be a severe undercount because many cases go unreported. Tonight, the Trump administration faces a deadline to return a Maryland man that a federal judge says was illegally deported to El Salvador. CBS's Chanel Call is in New York tonight with the latest on this controversial case.
One of the people being held in El Salvador's notorious Sicop prison is 29-year-old Kilmar Abrego Garcia. In court documents released today, a federal judge says the Trump administration committed a grievous error when it sent him there last month. In a court filing, the White House admitted it had mistakenly deported Abrego Garcia. But members of the Trump administration continue to argue, without providing evidence, that he is a member of the gang MS-13.
ICE has testified, members of ICE, that he is an MS-13 gang member. And the defense, his lawyers, have argued, well, he should be here because he was studying to be an electrician.
Demonstrators gathered outside a Maryland courthouse last week to demand the return of Abrego Garcia, who came to the country at age 16 and was under a 2019 court order not to be deported. His wife, a U.S. citizen, refutes the Trump administration's claims that he is part of a gang.
He's not a criminal. He's not nothing what they say. My husband is an amazing person, an amazing father.
The DOJ has appealed the judge's order. In a 20-page court filing today, Abrego Garcia's lawyers are calling on that federal judge to deny the government's appeal. Chanel Call, CBS News, New York.
Coming up next on News 3 Now at 10, Alex returns with a complete look of your first warn forecast. And severe weather tears through parts of the central U.S. and beyond. The latest on the nationwide severe weather. Plus, the men's and women's Final Fours weren't the only ones hitting the hardwood this weekend. We take you to a group of kids still pursuing their dream.
You're watching News 3 Now at 10.
Thank you for staying with us. We have spent the past few days hearing from heartbroken homeowners and people stuck on flooded roads. Today, the water is rising in Arkansas and beyond. Dave Malkoff is there with the latest.
An outbreak of deadly tornadoes batters the South and Midwest, leaving a wide swath of destruction across 10 states. In Mississippi, residents woke up to destroyed homes and splintered neighborhoods after nearly a week of nonstop tornadoes. Many communities, including Tennessee, are bracing for more flash flooding. In Kentucky, a building was floating down the river, the torrential downpour causing widespread flooding.
It's overwhelming.
Arkansas, also hit by life-threatening weather. A freight train derailed after heavy floodwaters washed out a bridge.
On the Arkansas-Missouri line, there's so much wind and rain, it's producing waves on this field.
These rains are so relentless, a FEMA search and rescue team from Nebraska is here to help. We went along with them on a mission.
You think someone needs rescued from that house? It sounds like it, yeah. So here you can see a good picture. Basically everything besides from these trees, none of that water is supposed to be there.
This was the house in the middle of the flood. The sheriff's department cleared it.
If they're out of there, the life safety, is no longer an issue, which is everybody's primary goal.
That's Nebraska Task Force 1. They're with FEMA. They spent 8 hours on a drive from where they started in Nebraska to here in Arkansas to get to a situation like this. This is not a lake. This is actually farmland. And that kind of equipment that they have, that kind of skill set that they have, they deploy anywhere in the country to make sure people are safe in a weather disaster like this. Dave Falkoff, CBS News, Pocahontas, Arkansas.
Our thoughts are certainly with those impacted throughout the country. Let's get a look at your first warn forecast with Chief Meteorologist Alex Harrington. Alex.
Jalen, absolutely unprecedented. These are just the storm reports from yesterday. When you see the storm reports kind of in lines, those are families of severe weather that are produced by a storm that just keeps cyclically repeating itself over and over again. These are the supercell thunderstorms that we talk about, the rotating storms that can just live for hours and cause all that incredible damage that we just saw. Much more benign up here in Wisconsin. Nonetheless, tracking a cold front in northern Wisconsin that's going to sink to the south very, very quickly, bringing us snow showers later overnight into Monday, rain Wednesday going on into Thursday, and mild conditions by the weekend. So let's look forward to the weekend, because the rest of the forecast this week, we are going to have to make some progress to get to the upcoming weekend of warm weather. If you get an isolated snow shower tomorrow while you're driving, you could have some briefly reduced visibilities because the snow could come down briefly heavy at times in some of the snow showers, and it will be a windy day. Let me explain here with Future Track. A few snow showers just north of the Dells. When you wake up, Jacob will be here tracking those snow showers. As we get a little bit later into the morning, those snow showers settle to the south. Really, anybody stands the chance of seeing a snow shower tomorrow. The least chance is over southwest Wisconsin. But watch what happens in the afternoon. As the day wears on and the sun tries to come out in between the clouds, it builds up what we call popcorn-like showers. And in this case, it's cold enough for them to come down as snow showers. And we all know that when you get into a briefly heavy shower, that the visibilities are reduced. And that's what we're up against tomorrow with some of those snow showers across the area. And we'll eventually clear out as the sun sets tomorrow. Not expecting much in the way of accumulation. That's certainly, I guess, good news from an April standard. We have grassy surfaces that should melt that snow as it tries to come down. But it's the combination of the winds, upwards of 30 miles per hour, those gusty winds, and those snow showers that could briefly reduce those visibilities. Tonight, those snow showers build in very late. Low temperatures right around 30. And this is all we're going to do for highs tomorrow. 39 in Madison, 38 in Baraboo, and then around 40 over parts of southwest Wisconsin where they have the lesser the chance of those snow showers. Wednesday going into Thursday, that's our next weather maker. First, to give you a glimpse of that, a mix of rain and some wet snow throughout Wednesday, going on into Wednesday night, going on into Thursday. Any accumulations with this system as well, we're looking slushy accumulations at best, mostly on grassy surfaces. So a bit of that more like late winter, very, very early spring-like weather pattern here over the course of the next couple days. But I got some good stuff by the time we get to Friday, going on into the weekend. We get into the 60s and then maybe a 70 next Monday with some spring-like thunderstorms. We have to keep an eye on that weather system. We could have some stronger storms with that weather system. And on that note, the severe weather awareness week, it starts tomorrow. This is a very busy slide. I just want folks to know, if you go to channel3000.com and go to our Beyond the Barometer section, a nice segment that Blaze Keller put together showcasing all of the storm spotter classes that are upcoming, that are held by the National Weather Service. Even had some comments from some of our viewers that said, hey, go to these classes if you want to be a storm spotter. They're very, very informational, and we can always use more storm spotters because they relay that information to the National Weather Service. We see that back here in our computers, and then we relay those reports to you on the other side of the TV.
And just speaking for the audience and, us here in this industry, we really do appreciate the work that all of you guys in our weather department do, other meteorologists, and just in general, what you guys do is truly important and vital to our safety and our livelihood throughout southern Wisconsin and beyond. So thank you guys so much.
You bet. Much appreciated. Let's just hope this severe weather season is not like last severe weather season. As I've said, we had enough severe weather last year for a lifetime, so hopefully not this year.
Yeah, just let's temper it down just a little bit.
Yes, a little bit would be nice.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Alex. And you can track the forecast for yourself on the First One weather app. It is hourly planners, road conditions, and even radar. You can download it for free in your phone's app store. Just search WISC Weather. Some exciting hoops action beyond the college championships in Tampa and San Antonio. For tonight's Weekend Journal, CBS's Sarah Horbakowitz is in Denver and shows us a team that's always on the move with an eye on the future.
These are the sounds of March.
Popping the three.
And in Denver, Colorado, you can also expect to hear the clash of titanium.
We play basketball hard. You can put us up against probably an NBA team, and in our chairs, we've got a chance.
Meet Dan Hendricks and the rest of the Denver Rolling Nuggets, Colorado's national wheelchair basketball team.
Most people have two hands to use when they're playing basketball. Well, that's also what we're using for our legs, too. So as we're trying to propel ourselves forward, back, move around, we're also catching the ball, shooting the ball, passing the ball.
While players may pick and roll with ease, this year the team will have to miss out on nationals, still feeling effects from the pandemic.
We lost some sponsorships, we lost a lot of participation, so it set the program back several years. And right now we're really recruiting hard to try to regain the team.
Turning to teaching and creating the only kids practice team in the state.
Jackson,
it kind of gave me a realization that I'm not the only one, and that I'm kind of like, I have a group and I have people that I can be around and then just be myself.
After a car accident in 2023, Lucy began using a wheelchair. She found the Nuggets a few months later and never stopped moving.
They didn't really know what lie ahead for me and if I was ever going to be able to play on the playground with them. But I think after I found a basketball team and other sports that I really love, I was kind of okay, I'm okay. I can still do all these things.
Switch it. If I got any, watch out, go. And I know there's a lot more adults, children out there with disabilities that could benefit from playing sports. We want to bring the whole community together.
And you can still count on Lucy for that Cinderella story.
I'm okay, ready for the Paralympics or something. Let's do this.
Sarah Horbakowitz, CBS News, Denver.
That's awesome, guys. Coming up in sports, the Bucks played the Pelicans, but to get the win, they'd have to do it without Giannis. And here's the highlights next in sports.
After playing in Miami last night, the Bucks made an overnight trip to New Orleans to play the Pelicans this evening, their second game in as many nights. But to get their fourth straight win, they'd have to do it without Giannis. But the good news is they've got a guy named Kevin Porter Jr. who is a problem. The midseason acquisition has been magnificent of late, had a near triple-double last night and was back at it tonight. Bucks leading by 9, and KPJ turns a steal into a slamma jamma. Porter poured in 20 points to go with 8 rebounds, and the Bucks win it 111-107. To the college ranks, where in the last hour, Wisconsin men's basketball made a pivotal transfer portal pickup when SDSU, or San Diego State star Nick Boyd, who averaged just shy of 14 points per game last season, announced that he is transferring to Wisconsin. Boyd has high-level NCAA tournament experience. The guard was a key contributor for Florida Atlantic when they made their Final Four run 2 seasons ago. And how could we not take another look at the Final Four for the ages from last night? Walter Clayton Jr. and his Florida Gators took down Auburn to advance to the title game, where they will play a Houston team coming off of one of the most impressive and stunning comebacks we've ever seen in a Final Four. It sets up even more madness on Monday night at 7:50 Central in a game you can catch right here on CBS. And UConn is back on top of the women's college basketball world. The Huskies dominated South Carolina en route to the program's 12th national championship, breaking UCLA's record for the most titles by any Division I basketball program, men's or women's. Early this morning, the Brewers placed Nestor Cortez on the injured list, the team's 7th starting pitcher to be sidelined this season, adding to an insanely injury-riddled rotation. It's left Pat Murphy no choice but to put other arms in a starting role way ahead of schedule, such as Chad Patrick, who spun a gem in his first big league start last week and proved today against the Reds that he is here to stay. Gets the punch out to work out of a 4th-inning jam. The Rook gave up just 2 hits in 5 1/3 innings of 1-run ball. And in the bottom of the frame, it was last year's breakout rookie who puts the Reds out of reach, already leading 4-0, and Jackson Chorio tacks on another trio. The 3-run round tripper jolts the crew to a 8-2 victory, securing the series win. And how could we not mention this? To the ice where 8 passed the great one. The Washington Capitals' Alexander Ovechkin scored his 895th goal of his NHL career today, breaking Wayne Gretzky's record to become the NHL's all-time leading goal scorer. Incredibly, Ovi broke the record in his 1,487th game, the exact number of games that Gretzky played in his illustrious career. A lot of history going on today around the sports world. You can talk about UConn. You can talk about Alexander Ovechkin. You can talk about the Badgers making a big portal move. Just an exciting day all around.
I would say it was a near perfect sports block. Only thing we were missing was some UFL. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Totally kidding. But, I mean, to your point, absolutely historic. UConn gets their 12th. Ovechkin getting the NHL scoring record. I mean, how lucky are we to be living in a time where we get to see so much history going on in the sports world?
Yeah, I completely agree. And you and I were talking about it earlier off year. Paige Bueckers ending a chapter of women's college basketball that so far in history is unrivaled. Her, Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, you name it, over the last couple of years have changed the game, hopefully forever. In my opinion, the most exciting time to be a women's college basketball fan is right now. And shout out to Paige Bueckers for getting that title.
Yeah, absolutely. Persevering through, the back-to-back seasons where she was sidelined due to injury, coming back, getting UConn to the Final Four, and then obviously capping it off with a national title this year. Excited to see where she ends up at the next level.
Yeah, she will be highly coveted in the WNBA draft.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Andrew. A final check of your first warm forecast is coming up after the break.
Of snow Wednesday and Thursday, warmer by next weekend. Have a great evening.